How to withdraw from benzos. Hi, I'm Kirsten, Sobriety Bestie, and this video is about how to withdraw from benzos. So what I want to say here first off the bat is I am not a doctor. I am not an expert in this. I am somebody who was on benzodiazepines. I was on Klonopin for 2.5 years. I took them daily, and then I got off. I got off them in 2009. And I've been off them ever since. And so I want to share my experience here. I'm also going to be sharing with you a lot of research that I've done on this topic. I specifically also want to recommend something called the Ashton Manual by Dr. Heather Ashton, which you can get for free, a Kindle book on Amazon if you're interested in going deeper. The book is called Benzodiazepines, How They Work and How to Withdraw. But I am going to summarize what I read in there for you. I took great notes because I wanted to bring you this video. I've also read other research papers too, like peer-reviewed research stuff. So I want to bring this to you to make it really easy for you to go through this benzo playlist that I've created in case you've been suffering from wanting to get off benzos, you've been suffering from benzo withdrawals, if you have been suffering from benzo withdrawals, I just made a video on that. You can watch that here. I just wanted to combine everything together to make it really easy for you. There's the video that I get comments about all the time on my YouTube channel is how I got off benzos, the video I made 6 years ago. And so I wanted to spend a week making videos about benzos now, just to put everything I know about them and everything I research about them in one easy place for you. So let's get right into it. So really quickly, what are benzodiazepines? I was specifically on Klonopin, which is also known as clonazepam. So forgive me for how I pronounce these. Xanax, alprazolam, Valium, diazepam, Ativan, lorazepam. So these are examples of some benzodiazepines or benzos. Now, whether or not you are going to have symptoms or whether you're not going to have an experience with withdrawing from benzos depends upon a lot of factors. Not everybody does. In fact, most people, meaning more than half, 60% of people, according to the research, do not have withdrawal symptoms, do not have any experience there. So there won't be a problem for them. However, there are some people on the other extreme end where it is fatal, right? There might be seizures. So it's important to take everything into consideration with your doctor and do this medically supervised, which is what I did. I got off benzos while I was in rehab for alcohol, a 30-day rehab program. Some of the factors that are going to be weighing into whether or not you have benzo symptoms and whether you have a benzo withdrawal at all and whether what your experience is going to be like. There's a lot of different things that can weigh into that, right? And so some of those factors are going to be specifically which benzos you are on. Some of them are faster acting. They have different half-lives, so they're going to be doing different things to your body. What benzos were you on? How much of them? What was your dosage of those benzos? How often did you take them? How long did you take them for? What was the duration of the time that you took them for? What is the speed of your tapering? If you're coming off them, are you going off them cold turkey, which is not recommended medically? But if you're tapering off them slowly, what is the speed of your tapering? Like, for example, I got off mine in 10 days. I don't recommend that. That's what I did while I was medically supervised. Literally, I was in rehab where there was a doctor there. Most of the taper programs could be anywhere from 6 months to 1.5 years. I'm not exactly sure. I would definitely talk to a doctor about that. But it's a longer term thing to have that brain come down. Like when we calm our brain down with the benzos, then it can be more excitable, right? So anxious, insomnia, all that kind of stuff. It takes a while for that homeostasis. So that could take a long time. The more slowly that we taper, the less symptoms that we'll experience. Other things that are going to affect what your withdrawal from benzos could be like is your relationship with stress. This is something that I talk about all the time. This is one of my favorite topics. Another way to say this is your relationship with arousal. So what is coming up in your body? What's your relationship with your feelings, with anxiety, with the discomfort in your body? What is your neurology? Are you neurodivergent? Are you prone to, do you have some sort of condition where you're prone to being more dysregulated than the average human, right? So what is your neurology? Are you using other substances? Are you drinking while you're coming off benzos? So that's actually obviously going to affect what your experience coming off benzos would be like if you're on other substances, other medications, whether they are prescribed from a doctor or the recreational. It's going to have an effect. What kind of support you have? Are you in a supportive community? Are you in a place where people are like-minded, like they're also coming off benzos? Are they also like for me, I was in rehab where there were people coming off of other stuff. It was kind of normal, but it's normal in rehab to be coming off something, right? And then I went to recovery meetings because I was getting sober, and that's the way that I got sober. Is I went to rehab and then I went to recovery meetings for alcohol. So are you in some sort of supportive group? It could be like a Facebook community online. Maybe there are benzo support groups. That's not the route I went, but that is a route that you could take. So what is your mental health like? What is your mental health like in general? That's going to affect what you're feeling when you come off benzos. Or if you're watching this video because you're here to support a loved one coming off benzos, what's going to affect them. Past experiences, like our nervous systems aren't fresh, right? First of all, our nervous systems have history in them that's not ours, right? There's the ancestral stuff, there's the genetics, right? There's what our ancestors have been through and what the actual underlying genetics are, those two components. Then there's what happened in utero. Things happened when our moms were pregnant with us, right? And then we're born, and then our nervous systems have their own experiences directly with life out of the womb. So our nervous systems have been on a journey, some from our ancestors, some from in utero, and then some after we were born. So whatever experiences we had, whatever traumas we had been through, whatever things that we have learned, our conditioning, that's going to have a huge effect on our experience as well. So as you can see, there are a lot of factors that weigh into what our experience might be like as we come off of benzos. So Dr. Heather Ashton, who wrote the Ashton Manual, that benzo book that I recommended earlier from Amazon, which I'll link down below, the free one on Kindle, she had an over 90% success rate in her 14 years of running the benzo withdrawal clinic. 90% success rate in people coming off benzos. That means it's very likely that you're going to be very successful coming off benzos. It doesn't matter how old you are or how long you've been on them. If you've been on benzos more than 20 years or you're over 80 years old, it doesn't matter. She had a 90% success rate with all types of people. And what that means is that people both felt better physically and mentally after coming off benzos. It's not a one size fits all. So there is no way to come off them. There is no, it's going to be definitely this way. We're all different. There's different factors that play into it. As we've already discussed, we are different people. We see the world differently. And we come off them differently. We're going to have different experiences of what we need and what kind of support we need. And I, quite frankly, didn't realize how numb I was until I got off benzos. I was super numbed out to life. Things didn't faze me. And it's not because I was easygoing, although maybe I was, or maybe I wasn't. It wasn't about being easygoing. It was about I was numbed out. I was depressed. My nervous system was depressed. I don't mean that I felt depressed in a clinical depression way. I mean my nervous system, my reaction to life was depressed, was numbed out, was down. So I wasn't as happy. I wasn't as sad. I wasn't as angry. I wasn't as irritable. I wasn't as anxious. Everything was numbed out. I didn't have a lot of joy. I wasn't very lively. So that was something that I didn't notice until I came off and I started to come alive, coming alive after benzos. It's quite an adventure. Withdrawal symptoms. I have a whole video about withdrawal symptoms, which you can watch up here, but withdrawal symptoms, they're gonna vary. And a lot of it too is fear of withdrawal. I don't want you to be afraid of withdrawal symptoms. I think what's really helpful is to be present with them. If something is coming up, be present with us. So much of fear and anxiety is worrying about what might happen. Anxiety is trying to manage the future, right? Oh my God, what if this happens? So much of my anxiety was, what if I get into another car accident? Or what if this happens? Or what if I go and have to speak in school, right? A public presentation and blank out again like I did in the 4th grade? Or it's a fear of what might happen. So a lot of it is about being present. So what is actually happening right now? Not what might happen or what I'm afraid of happening, but what is happening right now. And so having said all that, number one is consulting a medical professional. Number one, consult a medical professional. Absolutely, number one. Number two, go at your own pace. Only you know how you feel. Only you know if it's too fast for you or if it's too slow for you or what the pace is. Only you know what's happening inside of you. So work with your medical professional to set up a plan of tapering off benzos, but go at your own pace as well. This is something that Dr. Heather Ashton recommends. Remember, I'm not a doctor. I'm just kind of reiterating the process that she goes through in her book to kind of save you some time on having to read it all if you don't want to, and just get the deets now. And then if you want to read her book too, but go at your own pace. There is no rush. There is no extra credit for coming off them really quick, or for taking 2 years to come off them or whatever. Go at your own pace. There's no bonus points for suffering extra. So you can create a schedule with your doctor, and you can ask them to adjust it if needed. If it's feeling like it's too intense for you, ask them to adjust it. Be a part of it. Give your doctor a copy of the book, the Ashton Manual, right? From Dr. Heather Ashton. Have your doctor read that. Recommend them to go to Amazon and get the book, and find out why you want to be also co-doing this with your doctor. You want to be working with them on what pace is working best for you as you experience it. Number 3 is having psychological support, having some sort of psychological support system, somebody who can be there for you, whether it is a support group, a friend, a partner, a therapist, someone that can understand what you're going through. Or if they don't understand it specifically, that's okay. Again, you can give them like this video, these video trainings I'm doing on benzo, or the Ashton Manual, or just have them to be there for you and to listen to you, someplace that you can get some sort of support. It can feel like a lot. So to have a support group, it would be like the 3rd step. Number 4 is to understand arousal reduction techniques. Another way to say this is to how to calm yourself down. When you're activated, when you're anxious, when you're angry and irritable, when you have these big feelings, when something big is happening inside you, that's arousal, right? When that arousal is coming up, when you're activated, to have tools to know how to cope with it. So a way I put together a roadmap, if you haven't heard about it yet, it's go to sobrietybestie.com/roadmap. I give a roadmap of how to change that relationship with what's activated inside of you, how to calm yourself down instantly, how to have a new relationship with that arousal. So check that out. Find tools on the internet. You can check out meditation, mindfulness, journaling. Obviously, exercising is going to be helpful if it feels good for you and your doctor's okay with it. Movement, yoga, chanting. These are all things that work with like what's called like the vagus nerve and different ways to get into it. I don't want to go too deep on the tools here. So if you want to get that roadmap, sobrietybestie.com/roadmap, get it there. But there are a lot of tools that you can use to cope with how you feel and to transmute it, transform it, to calm it in the moment. So becoming, having that new relationship with your stress, with your anxiety, with your arousal, with your emotions is key. And so number 5 is to actually reduce the dose, right? And so again, I'm going to say it a million times, I'm not a doctor. This is what Dr. Heather Ashton recommends in her book, in the Ashton Manual. Her advice is to reduce the dose by 1/10 or 1/8. Now, she talks about this on page 37, 39, 43, and more pages of the Ashton Manual, which is also called Benzodiazepines, How They Work and How to Withdraw. That's the book. So you can show it to your doctor. There are other pages in there besides 37, 39, and 43 where she talks about reducing your dose. So I'm really just kind of relaying her information versus giving you advice on what to do. This is what they told me to do when I was in rehab in 2009, was literally to buy a scale, and I wanted to weigh the benzos over time. I didn't understand any of this back then, and I was irritable, angry, and I told them, no, I'm getting off, rehab's expensive, I'm getting off benzos here and now. I'm not buying a scale when I leave rehab. Screw that. That was my attitude. I don't recommend that attitude. I'm just being honest with you about like how I felt, and like, yeah, I just didn't want to buy a scale. I felt like I was spending all this money in rehab, and I wanted to leave rehab like off everything. And so that was my anger was coming from that place. I was uninformed. I didn't understand how any of this works. I didn't understand neuroplasticity. I didn't understand homeostasis. I didn't understand the brain. I kind of believed my doctor who told me that benzos were not addictive. I didn't think that it was a long process. I didn't know that it could be. And so I got off them in 10 days. I didn't taper slowly, but they wanted me to do the slow tapering process, which is like, taper down by like 1/8 or 1/10, like similar to what Dr. Ashton recommends, and do it over a longer period of time. So going cold turkey can be dangerous, like just stopping altogether. It might be too fast. So slow tapering can help ease some of those symptoms and help give your body a time to get it all out of your system. So some of those benzos can be stored in our tissues, and they can be released slowly over time. So at this point, you're consulting your doctor, you're going at your own pace with your doctor, you're coordinating with them. You have some sort of psychological support. Hopefully you have some tools, some techniques to reduce that arousal, that anxiety, the stress, what's going on. You have some sort of toolbox that you're working with. Again, you could use my roadmap. And then you're reducing your dose over time. You're tapering down, what's calling tapering down, right? So ideally that's what you're doing, and you're becoming educated. So you're a part of your healing journey. You're learning more about benzos. You obviously are, because you're already here watching this video. Let me know any questions you have. If there's any future videos you want me to make about benzos, that I can either do the research for you guys and make another video about it, or I can answer anything about my personal experience of my journey of coming off them. And I just really want you to know you're not alone. Like, I legitimately made my first ever video on coming off benzos in 2017, and I have gotten message after message after message, week after week after week, for over 5, almost 6 years now, with people telling me that they are coming off benzos and it's hard. Now remember, 60% of the people, according to that research, have no symptoms coming off benzos. So for most people, they don't have a problem. You might not have a problem. I'm not pre-framing this as you will have a problem. Likely people won't, right? But maybe you're watching this video because you are noticing some symptoms, or you're wanting to come off benzos, or you're wanting to support somebody who's coming off benzos. So some people will. So you're educating yourself. This is super important. And I want you to know that it's possible, that freedom is possible, that there is life on the other side, that it is available. I'm not sure how much freedom is available to you. I cannot promise that to you. We've already talked about all the different ways that we're different, or some of the different ways that we're different. Oh, there's a lot of ways that we're different. So I don't know what's available for you in your future, but I know that if you've been like artificially calming yourself down, and for good reason, right? Because you were probably freaked out like me. I was scared of everything. Who wants to wake up with a panic attack? Who wants to be afraid of life? We're not taught this stuff. Like, nobody sat me down while I was growing up and taught me how to feel, or taught me how to be with my stress, or transmute my anxiety, or any of this stuff. It wasn't common knowledge. And quite frankly, that's why I made it my profession, right? Why I fell in love with the topic of arousal and calming ourselves down, and teaching people about how to overcome anxiety and to heal from anxiety, heal panic attacks, all that stuff. Like, it's possible. There are techniques that we need to learn. So I don't know how much freedom is available for you, but I know that there is freedom available for you. Your brain can rewire. We all have neuroplasticity available to us. It doesn't matter how old we are, how long we've been using benzos, what we've been through, any of it. There is freedom available. There is light at the end of the tunnel. I am just one human. I am just like you, who, I'm not sure why you're watching this video right now. I probably don't know you personally, but I am someone who suffered with benzos, likely from you, with the withdrawal symptoms. I'm somebody who suffered a lot from anxiety, likely like you, and I'm somebody who doesn't live like that anymore. I'm just a regular human with a nervous system that used to be frazzle-matazzled, like a lot, like super anxious all the time, to somebody who found a lot of peace. I haven't been on benzos since 2009. I've been off all medication because they gave me those 2 medications, gabapentin and Neurontin, in rehab for a year. I was on this for 15 months after I got off benzos. I've been off all medication since January 1st, 2011. I haven't had a panic attack since 2012. This is over a decade now. So what I'm saying is it's possible for a super frazzled, super anxious, super dysregulated nervous system to have a completely new experience of life. There is so much freedom available for you. I'll see you in the next video.